Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My video is not working today, so you've just got this black box with my name in it. So it's gonna have to do. I don't know why I'm making it bigger. I should just probably just make it smaller. Um, anyway, that doesn't matter. Um, so yeah, I don't have my full software here. I don't have my software here today, so we've just got this. PDF. So going to be probably a little bit more focused today. Not really able to zoom back into the past or zoom forward into the future and so on and show you sort of live dynamics and stuff like that. So, um, right. So we're going to have a little look at the new moon stuff, new moon energy. Um, that's going to be happening on the 20th. So Thursday, the 20th of November, 2025 is the Scorpio uh, new moon. So first of all, I'll say, has anyone got any questions um, for what's going to happen this month? Um, if you've got any questions about the planetary relationships, planetary dynamics, or specific questions about, a certain placement or how it's going to affect you as an ascendant sign, yeah, just put those comments in the comment section, and then I'll see what I can do. Um, but yeah, so the Scorpio Scorpio new moon, and here you can see Moon, Sun, Mercury, and Mars all there in that little box down there. That's the Scorpio box. Um, and yeah, there you can see Moon's actually debilitated deep. It's in deep debilitation and combustion. So got a nice combination there of debilitation and combustion for Moon. Of course, Moon is always technically combust at the new moon because of that Moon-Sun conjunction. Um, got Mercury. Mercury recently went retrograde. Um, I think roughly about a week ago. It was roughly, I believe, about 14, 15 degrees of Scorpio, and then went back. So yeah, talking about 6 or 7 days or so. Um, and then we have Mars there, combust Mars, I might add. So yeah, we also have that aspect, important um, aspect from Jupiter in Cancer, Jupiter's fifth um, aspect. So Jupiter trines all these planets. So we have that. And yeah, and that's going to be the sort of the basis of this reading, if you will. Um, so let's get started. So let's remember our place in the cycle. Scorpio, it's the second water sign. Of course, we begin with Cancer and we end with Pisces. So Cancer is that uh, Cancer is the sign of opening up to love, sort of opening up to divine love. And it's that really the connection to pure love. And with Scorpio, it is stabilizing that, it's stabilizing that love and really um, really making it tangible. So it's stabilizing it and making it tangible. So it's this intense feeling, this intense love, effectively. Almost like a sort of like a physical love. That's why we've got all those connotations, of course, with uh sex and Scorpio and sex and Mars, of course, is the phallus and all of this kind of stuff. Um, and then with Pisces, we finish that water cycle through the grace of Guru, through the grace of the teacher. They release us, and we go back to that pure love of Cancer, and the cycle begins. So it's very nice to get grounded in, the basics to begin with. So. Um, so what we'll do is we'll look at Mars for each ascendant sign, but first let's look at the Anuradha Nakshatra, because of course the nakshatras are, part and parcel of the Rashi, part and parcel of the sign. Um, and we can see that we could definitely see that connection between nakshatra and sign. Anuradha is named after Radha, which is a devotee of in the Hindu faith, in the Hindu religion, a devotee of Krishna. Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu, and it shows this ardent devotion to God and this commitment to God and this commitment to that which is true and that which is absolute. And so it shows this sort of unwavering faith and commitment, um, and the Vedic deity associated with Nakshatra is Mitra, and Mitra is the deity of commitment, relationships, and contracts, and so on. And so we have a similar kind of connection there, a similarity to Radha, um, and the actual power and the power and the energy of the nakshatra itself is devotion, and we can connect all of that to that intense love of Scorpio. And so really this in this moon cycle, it's going to revolve around this theme and these set of feelings. And I will first look at well, let's look at Mars first because Mars is ruling all of this. Mars is ruling Moon, Sun, Mercury, and Mars is ruling itself. And so, while Mars is not in its, best position, it's Multricona. Multricona is its root placement. It's most stable in Aries, but planet in its own sign, it's going to give good results. So it shows effectiveness um, with those effectiveness at dealing with those Mars things, with those Scorpio things, because who else can deal most effectively with the Scorpio things? Well, Mars itself, the ruler of Scorpio, can deal most effectively with those things. So it definitely shows um, in this cycle, this, awakening of the Mars things. And, write in the comments, tell us about your experience with Mars, because Mars is at 17 degrees, so you've already had some of that Mars energy, and how's it been going for you, even prior to this new moon. So, if it hasn't been kicking in or as you haven't been really feeling it, this certainly probably will feel it, through your individual experiences now. Um, so, uh, so yeah, I mean, of course, we're dealing with that Mars energy, right? I mean, we're talking here about love and devotion, but Mars is a planet of activity, energy, action, and fighting and battles, okay, and difficulty. So, well, we could say, it's about this love and devotion. It's also about, dealing with um, all the problems and all the difficulties and sort of trying to resolve those issues and also dealing with turbulence, dealing with change, and even sort of like causing that, but also like uh, having to deal with that instability as well. And so we've got all of those, traditional Mars um, things that will certainly, come into play. And I think that connects well with that, with what I was saying about Anuradha, in that it this Scorpio cycle is like a test of faith, if you will. Like if everything's going to shit, or if everything is, falling down before our eyes, what is there behind that? So it's kind of like a test of faith. It's not the full-on destruction of all that we know, because that comes afterwards in Sagittarius. That comes in Mula Nakshatra. Sagittarius is that, of course, mutable or dual sign, where uh, we have that spiritual reckoning, but that's not Scorpio. So yeah, so we have that, and we have this also this combustion. Mars is combust. So of course, Mars also it rules fire. It's the planet of fire. So it gives anger, gives these emotions, on an emotional level, anger and frustration and this kind of stuff. So it gives that already. So Mars combust can certainly be fierce, when it comes to uh, those emotions, that anger and that frustration, because combustion is the same, really. So we, again, tell us your experiences. The more experiences we can build, the better. I can only, give you my sort of experiences, and certainly I'm feeling that combust Mars, those frustrations with some of those Mars things, according to my ascendant. But it's helpful. Excuse me. It's helpful that Mars is in its own sign, because Mars can then more effectively deal with that combustion. If we had Mars debilitated, it may have difficulty dealing with the combustion. So rather than ruling anger, rather than ruling frustration, it rules us. So, but we look at Moon, like I said, Moon's debilitated and combust. So, watch out for that one. Um, would show that it'd be more challenging to deal with those, feelings of frustration, regarding whatever you're experiencing. Um, so yeah, so let's sort of look at each ascendant sign and see what, everyone particularly is going through. Um, and then maybe we'll bring in the Mercury stuff. Or shall I do that before? Maybe I'll do it afterwards. Got a lot of vocabulary out there already. Um, so of course let's talk a little bit about it. We'll see how we go. So of course with Aries, we start with Aries, of course. Of course, Mars is the ascendant lord. Mars rules you, Aries. Mars is your ascendant lord. So, this is your character, your action-oriented, goal-oriented, character. Um, and also shows Mars brings a lot of transmutation and renewal and metamorphosis in your life. And so certainly with this Scorpio cycle, Aries, this is certainly about renewal of self and uh, some kind of process of transmutation, whether that's sort of more esoteric, more internal, or external. We don't know, but we can certainly expect something like that in this moon cycle. And with Mercury retrograde, you're figuring that out, because Mercury um, retrograde means that that should be also always generally considered good, generally considered auspicious, especially for like dealing with problems and difficulties that Mars gives, because we have more wisdom available, more insight, into how to, solve those uh, issues. Um, oh, I said I wasn't going to talk about Mercury, but I started talking about it anyway. Well, that's fine. Um, we'll add in Jupiter in a bit, but yeah, because we're going to be feeling that. So Mercury's conjunct all these planets. We're going to be feeling that kind of maybe that kind of worry, that kind of cautiousness, that kind of introspection there, with those Mars things. So let's look at Taurus. Um, so Taurus, that's going to be your seventh house. That's going to be the Scorpio cycle for you. Taurus is always about other people and relationships. So Mars is your partner, Mars is your friends, Mars is your sexuality and your pleasure and all of that kind of stuff. So that will show you kind of um, a specific theme for you, Taurus. And Mars doesn't just bring, battles with other people for you, Taurus. It also brings, uh, things like battles with other people and breaking up with other people, or difficulties with other people, and also altered states of consciousness, or foreign places, or even really difficult things like prison and drugs and all of this kind of stuff. So there's tons of other stuff that comes with um, other people and relationships for you, Taurus. But generally, this is going to be some kind of difficulty that you're going to be overcoming with your relationships. And Mercury, will certainly give you some wisdom and insight into this. Hmm. Okay, Gemini people. What's this Scorpio energy going to be like for you? Well, Scorpio, you're going to be I mean, sorry, Gemini, you're going to be well suited. Mars is going to prepare you for uh, any kind of stress or difficulty or fights that you have to go through. And because Mars operates for you, Gemini, in a very Mars-like way. Of course, the planets are the spiritual energies, but the way they manifest for each ascendant sign is different. So um, Mars is effective for you, Gemini, at defeating enemies. And we just have to sort of contextualize that a bit because we don't really go through life. We don't tend to really go through life, picking out, locating or picking out our enemies and saying we're gonna fight our enemies, but you will see where the enemy is, whether it's a real person or an abstract thing. But there is this uh, capacity and effectiveness at dealing with some kind of issue or stress. This uh, moon cycle for you, Gemini. But ultimately, it's about service. It's about service and it's about courage and yeah, the courage to serve and doing our best to, serve whatever goal you have, Gemini. And Mercury will give you some insight and wisdom, not only in, how to fight those battles, but, insight and wisdom into yourself because Mercury is your ascendant lord, Gemini. So maybe you, this kind of issue that you're fighting with. This will trigger some self-revelation. Um, yeah. So Cancer, what about for you? Well, Cancer, Mars is planet of creativity, self-expression, and work for you. Um, Certainly, this is going to be, I don't want to say, Cancer, that this is going to be a moon cycle full of creativity and children and learning, because, this is just not how real life actually works. Um, but there is going to be something in there to do with your creativity and Dharma, and there's always a kind of like worky element. Um, with for Cancer people, there's always uh, work and stress and responsibility with anything that's sort of like creative or dharmic. Um, so yeah, Cancer, if you're watching, you tell us, you give us if you've got any questions, and give us some specific examples of what's happening in your life, and we'll have a look at it. Mercury will certainly give you, wisdom and insight into whatever kind of turmoil or difficulty that you're going through with the any battles you're fighting in terms of like at work or uh, this kind of thing. Um, let's see. So Leo, yeah. So Leo, Mars is, that most dharmic planet for you. Um, Mars is really the guru for you, Leo, and the teacher, and Mars is that planet that gives you insight and connects you to higher learning, but it also connects you and um, deep within yourself, and brings you into a kind of self-learning. Um, and So this moon cycle for you, Leo, really will be, very much about your internal state of mind. Um, yeah, so like Mars, of course, is that planet of difficulties and battles. So it could show this a kind of inner battle for you, Leo, and resolving problems with yourself and maybe these kind of frustration and anger that you have to work through. But Mars is a very dharmic planet for you, so your teachers and your inspiration and your learning and that connection to Dharma would really help with those possibly inner demons that you have to battle. So shows kind of a very self-focused and private kind of moon cycle for you, possibly Leo, and Mercury's there, to give you wisdom and insight into that. So yeah, so let's have a look at uh, Virgo. Virgo people. Mars is a sorry. Yeah, Mars is a planet of uh, very self-willed planet for you, Virgo. Mars-like planet. Um, it's doubly a planet of will, doubly a planet of courage and action, and causing things to, change as well. With Mars, Virgo, you're a change maker and you're a doer and an action-oriented person. Um, so, um, yeah, so this moon cycle for you, Virgo, is really about that. It's about that self-will and that courage, that ability to create and make uh, whatever it is you do, it's take action and be courageous. This is kind of the thrust of, the moon cycle. Um, and of course, that always brings a sort of instability to it as well. And this is Mars's nature. So, what change are you going to make? What do you have to confront? Mars is well suited for this. You got to confront something and create something, Virgo. So, and Mercury's there to give insight. And of course, this thing that you are, uh, confronting and engaging with, and making, that's going to bring also with that is going to bring that self-reflection because Mercury's your ascendant lord. So this the self-reflection and wisdom um, through that process, Virgo. So Libra, um, Mars, a planet of your resources, your um, your resources and your self-worth and your value and other people. So for you, Libra, Mars is about other people and money and um, your value and self-worth. Uh, so you may be having some, for example, this month may give you some disagreements or difficulties or battles with family and friends. Um, may bring a kind of instability and difficulty that needs to be resolved with finances and this kind of stuff. Um, arguments with other people and money and that kind of stuff. Um, as I was saying, let's just bring in the theme, also the Nakshatra theme here, which is about, devotion, which is about devotion and um, this kind of intense love, this kind of focused love. This is could certainly be a month Libra for you about devotion to family, devotion to friends, that and testing that faith, um, testing that devotion, testing that love to family and friends, and all of those things that you hold dear. Um, and but going through that difficulty as well, going through that kind of maybe some kind of battle or turbulence that you have to go through with your relationships. Um, and maybe that's a specific manifestation of that love that you have to test. So um, that's one way of looking at it. But again, you're a Libra. You tell us. You tell me. Um, so Scorpio, of course, Scorpio people. This is your month. Scorpio ascendants, that is. Um, So yeah, Scorpio. Mars is your ascendant lord, Scorpio, because so this is all about you. This is you are the you are the intense um you are the intense devoted kind of people in the zodiac, but also, of course, workaholics. Because Mars also makes you ties your identity to work and ties your identity to service and also ties your identity to dealing with difficulties. Mars is doubly a planet of dealing with problems, Scorpio, so you're certainly able to deal with issues and you'll be able to deal with them this month, very effectively, we hope. Just watch out for that combustion. Um, so yeah, I mean, this is about your identity, your dharmic path through life and your physical life and your physical body as well. Um so yeah, it's so we can say that Anuradha energy is about devotion, devotion to yourself and testing testing that devotion through difficulty, to your identity and to your dharmic path. And Mercury's going to be blessing you with insight and wisdom through introspection. It could be your mind could be crowded with all those thoughts, worrying and all of this kind of stuff. But in those quiet times when you can refine that energy gives great introspection and ability to problem solve, any kind of you know, uh, you know, uh, self battle or fighting with your demons kind of thing. So yeah, let's look next at Sagittarius. What's it going to be like for you? So Sagittarius, Mars is planet of creativity and fun and children. So this month is going to be full of creativity and fun and children for you, Sagittarius. No, actually, uh, would actually show Mars is a planet not just of children and creativity and fun, but also separation from those things uh, and some kind of generally some kind of problem or issue to do with those things. Generally, mostly like loss or separation or being or those things sort of losing those things, um, which is obviously not great, but certainly not suggesting for you, Sagittarius, that this is a month for you know losing children and so on like that. This is just the basics, but when we look at your individual situation, we can see actually what's happening, which is usually quite different. But certainly, the theme here is about loss and maybe also some kind of transcendental kind of uh, creativity. Um, of course, that makes it sound very glamorous. But Mars will, of course, bring battles and situation where you have to defeat something. Um, but actually, what this actually brings actually is trying to uh, destroy or get rid of any kind of losses for you, Sagittarius. So, that'd be really interesting for you to tell us in the comments exactly what you're going through. But Mars here is effective at dealing with any kind of loss or bad things. Um, um, so yeah. And Mercury's there, uh, able to give you some insights into, whatever kind of troubles or, um, difficulties, that come for you. So Capricorn people, Capricorns, this is a moon cycle for you about your aspirations and ambitions. Um, Mars brings, Mars might bring these kind of intense kind of, dreams and big desires about what you want to do. So it's good that Mars is in its own sign of Scorpio for you because this is more easily controlled. So it certainly shows getting on top of your aspirations and um, your creative ambitions and being able to get rid of any kind of problems or destroy any kind of problems or difficulties, there's perhaps holding you back with those aspirations or desires. And certainly that Anuradha energy is going to be about, uh, how devoted you are to those, big dreams and goals that you have, and it's really testing that devotion with whatever aspirations that you have, and obviously maybe Mars will put you in a difficult situation where you've got to, um, uh, you've got to, get through some fights and some battles with that, but that's going to sort of test those desires and aspirations and so on. So, Mercury will be there and give you some insight, um, and be able to reflect, which will sort of like interrupt a couple of things, but Mercury really will be there to help you solve those issues. So, that's Capricorn. Of course, Capricorn, your ascendant Lord Saturn is still retrograde. Not for that much longer, actually. Saturn will go direct. I think it's about 4 or 5 days after the new moon. So, this is really the last week for you, Capricorn and Aquarius, of that, self-reflection um, period. And so, yeah, it's worth mentioning that. Aquarius. So what's going to be like for you, Aquarius, this Scorpio moon cycle? So this Scorpio moon cycle for you, Aquarius, is going to be about your work, your responsibility. So it could be a stressful month for you, um, a very busy month. But Mars and problems at work as well. But Mars is effective, frustration and anger with people at work possibly, and uh, maybe the volume of work or particular issues around particular kind of worky issues. Mars is certainly effective at, brings problems, but able to deal with problems at work, and that's certainly going to be, your sort of test of faith here, test of how much you're devoted to your whatever it is you're responsible for, whatever your um, public persona is, whatever your status is in life. Mercury's there to help you give you some insight and reflection into those, public battles or that public difficulty. So yeah, right. Pisces, what's this Scorpio moon cycle being like for you, Pisces? So, Pisces, Mars for you is really your guru, your teacher, and your light of inspiration, and your connection to that which is true. Um, and also more mundane things like your learning and education and so on. So, um, you may be fighting some battles with your faith. Um, This is really the real test of faith. I talked about that quite a few times, mentioned that quite a few times, in this recording. Well, Pisces, this moon cycle really is, that sort of like test of faith uh, for you, um, and real sort of spiritual or religious, test of faith, and how much you're devoted to your dharma, your whatever that is, whether you're religious or not, there is some kind of dharma there, and it shows some kind of possibly some kind of wrestling with some kind of problem with that, and but Mercury's there to give you insight, and you've got that real spiritual connection there with Mercury to try to understand more your some kind of belief or some kind of you know um, some kind of faith or some kind of inspiration. Um, Mars is testing you there. So, you'll be able to effectively overcome those problems. You'll get the problems, but you'll be able to effectively overcome them. So yeah, I mean, this is, generally what it's going to be like, for each ascendant sign. Right. So this, one thing that I didn't talk about is this aspect of Jupiter, this helpful aspect, this trine. So we're certainly going to be, I mean, you must have been feeling it already. Certainly, um, with Mercury and Mars, as I'm currently recording this, Moon and Sun aren't here at the moment in Scorpio. So I'm sure you've certainly been feeling it with Mercury and Mars. this trine. Also, Jupiter trines Saturn as well. So you may have been feeling the graceful effect of Jupiter upon Saturn. Um, so this is benefic and helpful, especially also because Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. Um, so Jupiter always uh, it's a trine from a benefic planet that is exalted and retrograde. So certainly we could see lots of ways to understand the auspiciousness of that. And Moon, Sun, Mercury, and Mars will be feeling that, especially Mercury, because of course Mercury is also retrograde. So Mercury is opened up spiritually, and um, that the reception of an opened up uh, spiritually connected Jupiter is certainly going to be felt. Uh, and Mercury is the conscious mind as well. So it, it's the Mercury's in connection with more wisdom. And so to have Jupiter there, which is obviously Jupiter's the planet of understanding and higher understanding and higher wisdom, certainly, that's very helpful and benefic, auspicious for Mercury, for our conscious minds, for our intellect, and for our ability to uh, reason with the more sort of like abstract ideas or the bigger concepts in life. Also things like, of course, things like faith and religion and those kind of beliefs. But contemplating our beliefs. Jupiter anyway gives that contemplation beliefs, but Mercury gives extra capacity for analysis and reasoning, regarding those things. Um, so that's going to be a boon for all of these planets, not just Mercury. It's going to help that. It's going to help uh, Mars with the difficulties and the problems that Mars may encounter. Um, to have that deeper connection to something that is deeper connection to Dharma or faith. The retrograde is not just like the retrograde will also, it would be about questioning our faith or questioning our beliefs. So there is sort of that like back and forth with Jupiter, where we may be unsure and we may need to reflect more, but it's also about getting deeper into that and making a purer connection with that belief. And that will certainly help Mars. But there's always that that back and forth and that possibly that hesitation with some kind of belief that we have. And that might obviously that's gonna, make this bring a bit more complexity, just like the complexity that we have with the combustion of Mars. But all in all, we've got solid placement for Jupiter, solid placement for Mars. And so, that's very, what you'd call is auspicious. So, of course, would for each ascendant sign, Jupiter and Mercury and so on are going to show more specific things for each individual. So, if you want to know about that, then just let me know in the comments. If you want to know about anything this month, let me know in the comments. I can respond or I can make another video. I might do a short or another video on the Jupiter Mercury retrograde connection. But yeah, that's it for now.